to talk about this week's box office figures, which are terrible, but terrible in 4 distinctly different ways. The first way they're terrible, and the worst way they're terrible, is with the action movie Baadshaho, which in America, in week 2, is down to only 500 per screen, which is just shockingly bad. It's doing a little better in markets like Australia and New Zealand, where action films generally do better, but it's still not doing well anywhere. Really, it's doing a variety of terrible in every market. The winner in America this week is Shubh Mangal Savdan, the small slice-of-life rom-com, which is actually the most successful Indian film in the American box office. But that's not that impressive. It's also making something under 2,000 per screen, right around a little under 2,000, which is not great for week 2. And the fact that it's at the top of the American box office just says how terrible Indian films are doing this week. The absolute worst film of the week is Poster Boys, the new release, partly because I'm grading on a curve and it is a new release. It only made around 500 per screen. Daddy, actually, the other new release, made even less than that, but then it was always kind of an arty film. It was never supposed to be a major hit the way Poster Boys could have been with the star cast and the minor amount of publicity it got and so on. The best film of the week, Bareli Ki Barfi. It's in week 4 now, and it's still making around 1,400 per screen, which is like Cannes numbers. It opened at around 4,000, 5,000 per screen, dropped to around 2,000 in week 2, held steady around there in week 3, and now is down to 1,400 in week 4, which is about the same as what a Cannes release would do. Arjun Reddy, that little outstander, is following a bit of a different pattern. It did about 4,000 in week 1, dropped a little bit in week 2, and now in week 3, it's all the way down to 1,400, which means it's dropping kind of fast. So, what do all these numbers tell us? Well, they tell us a few things depending on which film you're talking about. Baadshaho, that tells us that heavily publicized action movies with star casts are no longer guaranteed winners. Poster Boys, that tells us that any heavily publicized film with any level of a star cast is no longer a guaranteed winner, and in fact, there's a good chance it could be a flop. Arjun Reddy, that's the interesting one. It tells us that there's an audience for this kind of mature drama, but it's a limited audience. Even with the great word of mouth, even with people streaming in to see it, it just sort of ran through all the people who were interested within a few weeks. It's not got the massive growing audience base that you really need for a long-running film. So who's the winner? Bareli Ki Barfi. Small film with good word of mouth saves the day. And Shubh Mangal Savdan, to a lesser degree, shows the same thing. It's still not doing great, but it's doing better than you would expect for the subject matter and the kind of film it is. So what is this telling me? This is telling me that word of mouth finally might be returning to the box office. We had a long period where you could make anything a hit, so long as you had the right cast and the right publicity and the right kind of release. That's been dropping off for, years now. As the Cannes films are getting less and less and less with these random outliers, that's a sign that the big publicity, big star films in general are getting less and less popular. And we've been getting more and more of these random word of mouth hits, the smaller films that people talk about, that people end up coming to and loving because other people told them about it. This month, right now, this is like the peak of the word of mouth era. We're getting more and more films that are doing better in the second week than in the first week. We're getting more and more films that are running for a long time, and these are the smaller, high-quality films. So this terrible box office this week could be a good thing. Hopefully it's a wake-up call for the industry. Stop making Baadshaho, stop making Poster Boys, start making more Bareli Ki Barfis. Small films with good scripts, good casts, great directors, that will slowly build an audience based on word of mouth. Anyway, that's how it looks to me. If you agree, if you disagree, hop on over to my blog, Don't Call It Bollywood, and let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye.